not allowed to be sad. We're allowed to be one of two things. We're allowed to be mad or fine. That's it.
Damn. How do comedians come up with so many things to tell jokes about? In one of the previous essays, we talked about how all the stories have already been told, meaning they all exist in some form, and what you do is interpret them through your own personal lens. But really, how much personal stuff can these comedians actually talk about? 5? 10?
Everyone has one book on them. Almost nobody has two.
For example, like take The Sopranos. David Chase turned his complicated relationship with his mother into Tony Soprano.
Nowadays, everybody's got to go to shrinks and counselors and go on Sally Jesse Raphael and talk about their problems.
That's in a way how storytelling becomes self-therapy. But after that, he never really made anything that resonated the same way. So how do you make sure you don't become this one book guy?
Thanks for the reminder.
Anytime.
This is what I mean when I say you should approach art like a scientist.
Hold on, let me explain how we got here. We were arguing with my wife the other day about the true purpose of art. I know, very fancy. Long story short, I believe that art should offer emotional resonance and connection. It's a way to share your feelings and to let people know it's okay, I felt it too. But Emma, she has always been drawn to concept movies. She thinks of art as a tool for an intellectual exploration, a way to help us expand our knowledge about the world and us. I know you're sitting there in front of your screen and saying, Jesus Christ, obviously it is both. I know, but you can never skip the thought journey. Okay, so we got into this argument because I always had this internal fear. I thought, if art is something you derive from your personal experience and pain and trauma, then what happens when you feel better? Do you run out of material?
You know, don't go getting happy. You get happy, you're not going to be funny anymore.
And Emma suggested that, as an artist, your next step is turning your personal stories into more universal narratives.
I'm not saying you shouldn't tell personal stories. What I am saying is for great art, you usually need more than just that. Let me explain. Take my favorite filmmaker, Martin McDonagh. In Banshees of Inisherin, on the surface, he's just exploring a simple breakup story.
Like the starting point was to try and capture the sadness of a breakup, be it a love breakup or a friendship one.
But if we take a closer look, it's also a metaphorical representation of the Civil War.
Good luck to you. Whatever it is you're fighting about.
About the absurdity of conflict.
I just don't like you no more. You liked me yesterday.
That alone would make a strong film, but it doesn't stop there. It is also a social commentary. What does boredom do to people trapped in a small, cut-off community?
It's about one boring man leaving another man alone, that's all.
If we zoom out a bit, we see that it also explores a more psychological layer. How does a midlife crisis drive someone to sabotage their own life?
Each time you bother me from this day on, I'll take those shears and I'll take one of my fingers off with them.
An existential layer. How does all of this reflect our fear of mortality, our search for meaning?
Do worry sometimes, just entertaining myself while I stave off the inevitable.
This is what I mean when I say you should approach art like a scientist. You start with something small and personal. Then you keep asking, what else is here? Until it expands into something universal.
Papa, why can't we go outside? Well, because it's raining. Why? Well, water's coming out of the sky. Why? More questions. Why? It's an insane deconstruction. At the end, it's like, why? Well, because some things are and some things are not.
Okay, so you're basically saying to approach art with this childlike curiosity, like a scientist experimenting and asking what ifs. But then again, how you make sure you don't ruin the story by turning your characters into tools to walk the viewers through your cool high concept idea.
Pinkerton, you explain the logic and I'll provide the background. All right. Look, it is possible to enter into someone else's dreams. Send dream trackers to go into a person's subconscious.
I think the difference is that some directors start with the concept first, then wrap a story around it. What I am saying instead is to start with the story you want to tell first, and then find a way to represent it with a cool conceptual idea. So, in other words, the concept should grow out of the story. It's not a separate layer, it's just another way of expressing the same core idea. Now, say you want to make a movie about midlife crisis. You start with your personal pain point, just like you say. Now, if we told it your way, we would have this classic movie like American Beauty. And it is a great movie, but what you can do is say, well, midlife crisis is a story of regret. Well, what could be a good representation of regret? Something like parallel universes, infinite lives we could have had. Now you have a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is still the same story of midlife crisis, but see how this cool, high-concept idea adds more depth to the story instead of taking the focus away from it.
What is the truth? Nothing matters.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. I forgot what our initial question for this essay was about. So how do you make sure you don't become this one book guy? Right, how do we never run out of ideas? Okay, so according to our debate, when you conceptualize your personal stories, there are infinite angles to take, infinite what-ifs to ask, and thus come up with new stories and ideas. As artists, we usually start with ourselves, personal problems, the things we're carrying, but that's just the raw material. The way you keep finding new ideas is by getting genuinely curious about that feeling, by asking why over and over, exploring outward from that feeling until it opens up into something else.
Yes, yes, yes.
You're not abandoning the personal feeling, you're just putting it into different labs until you find the layers that transform your personal story into something universal. Now, if you think about it, that's what comedians have been doing all along. Let's take a look. This is Bill Burr 15 years ago. For years, his whole thing was that first step, raw, unfiltered emotion. He was the leader of angry people. In a way, it was his therapy.
Trying to explain to her that losing your shit is part of the process of fixing something, right? You buy something at IKEA, you get halfway through putting it together, you're like, dude, where the fuck is the fucking... Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Well, honey, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Why, you want to put it together? Well, then you put it together. You put together this fucking particle board piece of fucking shit.
Over time, we notice how he asks questions.
I gotta work on the temper. I'm gonna do it. You know, I got the kid now, and I don't want to pass it on to her. I have like a demon in my family tree. Like this fucking rage just keeps following us, and now I got it.
This is Bill today. He is not just expressing the anger anymore, he's investigating it. And what he finds underneath is...
And for the first time in 20 years of knowing her, I actually communicated an emotion. I swear to God. She goes, what's the matter? And I go, I'm sad. Exactly. That's fucking hilarious coming out of a man's mouth. It's just funny. Yeah. She didn't know what the fuck to do.
It's still hilarious and it's still therapeutic, but now it's also a social commentary with more food for thought and introspection.
My earlier work was a lot of this, and I feel like this is more interesting.
So it isn't this versus this, but this enriches this. Start as a therapist, end as a scientist. And maybe that's how you don't run out of stories.
Why? Till you don't even know who the fuck you are anymore. Why? Because fuck it, we're alone in the universe. Nobody gives a shit about us. Why? Well, because things that are not can't be. Why? Because then nothing wouldn't be. You can't have fucking nothing isn't. Everything is. Why? Why? I'll fuck you. Eat your french fries, you little shit. God damn it.